Well, Mike, it's too soon to give a game as massive as Final Fantasy XIV a number review, although you want to. We can talk about our first impressions. We've both been playing the game for a few days and quite a few hours already. I was a big fan of Final Fantasy XI, played it to death for like 4 years. Yourself? I think you dabbled.
I've done multiple endeavors into that world, but yeah.
To Vanadil.
Yeah, played quite a bit, so.
No, yeah, I was like through the end game of Final Fantasy XI. I was kind of ready for something new. Of course, upgraded my computer because the specs on this game, which is I've actually heard legitimate complaints of customers and stuff like that, being like, "Hey, I can't believe that this has bigger system requirements than Crisis." Then you play the game and you're like, "Oh." It is a very, very polished game. They're really setting it. I mean, you want to make your game 18 months in the future, so that 8 years down the line, it looks good by comparison, right?
Not to mention it will be coming out on PS3, and
yeah,
I mean they want it to look good on both, right?
Yeah, so PC does get it for an extra 6 months. The collector's edition came out this past week. Been kind of playing around with that major character. The character creation, first and foremost, is ridiculous compared to Final Fantasy XI, where you just chose how tall you were, your race, and your face.
Yeah, now, but even then, by comparison to other character creators, like you have 4 sets of hair. You know what I mean?
Well, it depends on your race.
You can make a beard. You know what I mean? Like,
but with that
really
alone,
limited.
like
it's good in comparison to 11, but in comparison to other character creators, it's still lacking.
Yeah, well, you gotta consider the gear is so detailed, and there's so many different. You can color it now and stuff like that. So based on just how many different combinations of characters you can make now, rather than just face and hair color. It much more diverse. Like you see a lot of people, and everybody looks kind of different.
And you can warp the faces too. Like you can actually change the dimensions on the face, which is good. So you're not going to run into like 5 of you running around.
Yeah, which is what was in the first game. Different races and stuff like that. Kind of, there's a great equalizer now in that when you level up, you choose where to allocate your points. Yeah. We'll get to that in a second. The fatigue system in the game. Let me just kind of break it down for you. Think of it this way. Think of it as like an X and Y axis, right? The fatigue system, essentially, when you hit 8 hours, you slowly start gaining less experience. This is Square's idea to stop people who can play 16 hours a day from getting ahead of the people who play on weekends, for example. That being said, once you hit that 8 hours and it goes down for another 8 hours, at the 15th hour you hit a threshold in which you gain no experience. Jobs, however, like your pugilist, your gladiator, or from Final Fantasy XI, your warrior and your monk, those also have the same threshold. So once you hit 8 hours, you're going to want to switch jobs to level up a new one or something like that. And to switch job, all you have to do, or to change weapon class or whatever it is now, is switch out your weapon. And now crafting classes and harvesting classes, like when you used to use a hatchet on trees and around Eorzea, or you used to do alchemy and stuff like that, those are actual like job classes in the game now and are just as important as the warrior classes and the mages and stuff like that. And you can level up with that as well. The idea here is that if the person's only playing on the weekend, they're leveling their main job and they're leveling their physical level, right? However, at that point, like that's them. People who are playing for more hours can then switch jobs, and they're growing more horizontally. Because as you gain abilities on different jobs, you can use them on any job. So, a level 8 pugilist could be much more versatile than a level 15 pugilist, just based on the fact that they maybe leveled up all their jobs to level 8 and have a wealth of abilities to call upon, which is really cool, I think.
So when you said it was deep and that we can't really give it like a numerical review, that's just like the tip of it. There's so much more.
And this is just before the game is even officially out. Like they're probably going to patch it day one with stuff because there's little problems here and there.
Well, one of the big things a lot of people from FF11 are going to miss is the the auction house.
No auction house yet.
There is none, which is
there was no auction house in Final Fantasy 11 when it started, I don't think, or safe houses, which there isn't in this game either. Give it time. It's nice to have everything in a database in one place, is the idea.
I could have sworn there was an auction house. Whatever.
When it came here, there was.
When
it first came out.
There isn't one in 14 yet. So
the economy's really messed up right now, because unless you're really good at crafting, like that's what you've been doing from day one, you're not going to be able to get very good gear. You're stuck with your newbie gear. So it's kind of a weird standstill right now in the game.
Yeah.
That being said, if you try, like get a link shell together with your buddies and stuff like that, try to do some crafting, like actually put your mind to it, there's no reason you can't make yourself better gear. That being said, the vendors right now, the prices are super inflated. Yeah. So if you want to buy a new sword, it's going to cost you and 6 friends all the money you can get from the beginning quest. That being said, numbers are crazy high compared to the older games. So I mean, like experience points you gain and gil and stuff like that.
It's faster.
Right now, it's a faster game.
Grind. Yeah.
Which is why we have to talk about the battle system. Not so much just stand there and wait to hit a guy anymore. You literally...
You have a stamina bar.
You have a stamina bar, you can stack skills, and you're constantly doing stuff during combat. Yeah. It's much more fluent. Like, you're going to be fighting more than one enemy at some point. There's going to be parties of enemies to fight and stuff like that. And your group of up to 15 people in your main party are going to be running all over the place. It's crazy.
The enemies are a little scattered, though. That's the only thing we should mention. While we were playing with a couple buddies, I mean, we would be running for 5-10 minutes, not running into, like, anything
I'm yet to see if that's the structure of the game, that you have to go to designated areas to find a lot of mobs. Just because there's so many people running around harvesting and stuff now that can't really defend themselves. And aggro doesn't really seem to be a thing in the beginning areas anymore. There's nothing that's really going to take you down, so to speak. There's some reused mobs from Final Fantasy XI, as we saw the other day. The Goobus are back. The Quirin, the rat guys from Outorgan are in there and stuff like that. So a lot of overflow from 11, especially in the races, which are essentially just renames and slight redos of the Final Fantasy XI. Yeah, even the places you start are very similar. Like, the entire game is very much a reimagining, let's say.
But I think that's kind of nice, because in a game like this, I mean, if they would have just redone everything, then it would be, a completely unfamiliar experience. Whereas people who've played 11, you're going to jump into this and you're going to see familiar sights, familiar things that you know, right? And you know how to do already. So I think that's kind of rewarding in a way.
Yeah. Super fun game. I mean, we want to go back and we want to play more.
And we'll have to do more than just this.
There'll be more than this, when we actually get into the game, so to speak. Cutscenes, amazing. Like, some of them are voiced, others aren't. Just the amount of personality they give to your character now, just with the graphics itself. Your character looks like a living, breathing part of the world, kind of thing. And the quests are really cool. The whole thing is very piratey themed.
Yeah, right from the
get-go, as
soon as you start the game.
Everything's to do with that kind of era stuff, which is cool. We're gonna have to wait to see more of this game, but jump on. I mean, if you liked 11, there's no reason not to move on to this one.
That's the key, though. If you liked 11, whereas a lot of new players, you're going to jump into this. Maybe you come out of Warcraft or something. Maybe you've never played MMO.
A lot of stuff
really overwhelming. There's a lot of stuff to take in.
Although the battle system's, I'd say, more akin to Warcraft now, just with the stamina gauge and that kind of stuff. It feels more action oriented. The game itself is much deeper than Warcraft can ever hope to be.
Yeah.
And when you just see the game, if you see the game running on high settings, Warcraft is like a child's thing. It's an 8-bit compared to this, pretty much. This is the best looking MMO I've seen to date. I think it is. We can just literally say that. But check it out. Final Fantasy 14. We're gonna give it a number score. You really wanted to.
Let's give it a thumbs up or a thumbs middle or a thumbs down. I'm gonna give it, as of right now, having played FF11, digging what I've seen so far. I'll give it a thumbs up, but we'll see where we go.
No, absolutely. Just the game is fun to play by yourself, which is more than you can say for MMORPGs. Like, your buddies log off. There's so much to do in the game that we still have to learn about. The game's definitely getting a thumbs up. Super interested, and we'll of course come back with a number review after spending a few hundred more hours with this game. Final Fantasy 14.